Good evening, everyone. This is going to be a trading review and support session for February the 1st, 2023, first trading day in February, which was also an FOMC day. And ultimately, the market kind of liked what the FOMC said, I guess, because it ended up quite a bit. So let's, as you can see here, right? So we were um, excuse me just a second. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Had to get a quick phone call. So as you can see, the market ultimately liked what the FOMC was having to say. So even though I don't think they said all that much new, they clearly said they weren't done, and that they were definitely going to try to get to the 2% inflation target. And if you're reading between the lines, they opened it up for the next FOMC meeting, they're definitely going to raise rates again. They almost opened the door for maybe another rate increase before the pause. So that's kind of what it was kind of saying. So anyway, as you can see, they kind of liked it, and if we take a look at the big picture chart, you can kind of see the reaction in real time. So here was of course, it's always crazy right after the announcement. So here's kind of the announcement, up and down, up and down. And then this is, the conference starts at about 11:30, came down to S1, and pretty much was up for the rest of the day. I did not trade anymore, so I ended the day when I got sufficient profit and didn't look back. So let's just kind of go through. So here's the opening. Here's the first, and I didn't really know what the market was going to do today, and it kind of went back and forth for some time. So here's the first entry. I had to add to it. So that was and then it's out here, and it's a good thing. I wouldn't have wanted to necessarily try to reverse and get markets down here. So anyway, that was the first trade, so that one was okay. Here's the second trade, right? And it's still bouncing around some, but I was out without having to add to it, so that's good. Here is the third trade right here, right? So we didn't have to add to it, and that was out. And so I wanted to trade pretty. I didn't want to overtrade today, and I don't think I did, even though I got kind of close. So let me see. Let me find the next trade. The next trade may have rushed it a little bit. May have rushed a couple of these. So this is, it's trying to run away from the EMA. Here's the trade here, but everything wasn't the line just yet. It was breaking out over everything, but the fast flex was still moving down. But I did get out of it without any problems, so that was another trade. Maybe waiting a little bit until the it had broken out again, right? Would have been a little bit sooner, a little bit easier trade. But anyway, it was I got out. I think I may have taken a short profit on that one. Kind of looks like I might have. I know that's where I got out. And let's see. So now we had, and this is after the 645 news, right? So this is a little bit of a reaction to the 645 news. And then kind of went up from there, and I'm relatively happy. And then we had 7 o'clock news today, and it was almost a little bit more um, volatile than I thought it was going to be. So here's the next trade, and it was an easy one. I think it was an easy one as well, and didn't chase it down any further. I could have entered in on this next trade. I could have entered in a little bit earlier. Let's get this thing because I wanted to talk about this one just a little bit. All right, so this I think is a fairly good setup, even though right it's still above fast flex. So it came up to the EMA, the slow flex, and the 2 by 200, right? So the edge of the fast zone, and gave pretty two good down bars. I didn't get in until here, right? Because I was kind of watching it to see what it's going to do, but it's not a bad think decision to maybe enter in a little bit earlier, right? But anyway, I did there and got out of the trade. But you'll see these things occasionally on a relatively larger pullback up to the EMA when, especially right when it's been down in the EMA range, in the EMA band. You'll see it pull up maybe a little bit faster. Not that it's going to necessarily go anywhere just yet, but I think this is a fairly good situation. And as it ends up, it kind of formed that double bottom area and kind of went up from there. And let's see, I know I got at least one more trade. Yeah, here's the trade that didn't get into a super lot of trouble on, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit. So here is, okay, so it was down, right? It's pulling up, right? And this is, it's kind of in this potentially resistive area. We don't know if it's going to be resistive or not, right? It has the fast zone in here. We're not shading it anymore. But then we get selling and selling, right? So it's kind of like that other one. It's just a little bit bigger pullback after 7 o'clock. So we've got two really pretty good down bars here, right? So and then it breaks the EMA. So it probably is an okay trade, even though slow flex is coming up, right? It's still quite far down, right? So you're getting pretty good selling. That probably is an okay trade. And here I go, I wait a little bit too long probably, right? So I wait until a potential double cross of the slow flex, right? But it's sort of also into the volume point of control area and the 1 minute low from over there. So didn't really love the trade, and then it tried to give me a rejection up here around the VWAP and the 3 minute close. So I added to it. So now I've got two, right? So now I'm not loving life. I mean, I knew I still had this kind of resistive area up in here, so I thought, and so, but this one, sometimes when I do this, I'm just trying to get out early. But it's almost always better to wait for slow flex to be on your side, right? And so if I had waited, then I would have avoided that one, right? And I was under slow flex here, but I probably would have avoided that one, right? And then when it started coming over here, right, I could have added to it, and my average would have been, so this would have been maybe the second one, right? If I was really being patient, and maybe even but as it was, right, I added here. Let me see if I can do these levels. I added at that level, right, and I added at that level, and I added at this level, and I think I was out completely. Let me see where I started to get out. Let me go to my trading chart real quick. This is always a judgment call. Let's see, what time is that? So that's about 7:22. 7:22. Yeah, I started getting out. Let's see, right about there, right, and then I got out of. Then I was kind of spread out just a little bit, and then had four, right? So I got out of one there, and then I got out of the last one. I think I was stacked up there, and it didn't quite get me out, and I just exited the last one. Kind of was coming back up, and I exited it right about there, and it came back down. So I made money on the profit, money on the trade. But so this one was aggressive, right? I'll just put that as aggressive. As it's not necessarily all up for down, but it's in an area where it could have held, and it did hold, right? This is sort of an aggressive ad. I was kind of reactionary. I mean, it could have come back down here, but just kind of waiting would maybe have been better. And then here's the classical, rollover, right? There's the classical rollover where the trade is easiest and fastest. So that would have been a little bit better, a little bit very environment. So could have been handled a little bit better, and also this was a little bit aggressive, right? So I was counting on. Let me clean this up, right? So it's already made the low, right? So it's already made this low coming down, right? So and I'm already and I'm selling into this low area, still kind of thinking that it's going to be pushing down. So selling into the double bottom, also not a great idea. Also pretty aggressive. Sometimes they work. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying we're trying to pick out the best ones, right? We're trying to pick out the best ones, and so that one was probably, well, I think it was. It was just too aggressive, right? So this formation that it ended up doing is not a uncommon formation where it comes down, tests the bottom, and then goes back up some. Doesn't mean it's done going down. I mean, ultimately, it did come back over here and made a lower low. So even if I had not done anything, right? If I'd not done anything, right, it would have gotten out at the original profit target. So anyway, I mean, multiple ways that you could handle those sorts of things. I just don't. I don't like to carry. I mean, of course, I could go a lot more than 4 units, but I don't like to. I mean, two is what I would like most to do, but it happens. All right, so FOMC day is typically, not necessarily easy to trade, and but on an FOMC, I'll take almost 8 points any day of the week. So any questions on that at all? I think everybody's software is working pretty good now. Everybody's got it installed. Okay. Alrighty, no problem. Glad everything is working good. All right, so have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you next time in the trading room. Yep, you too.